Well, I wondered. I was half awake when the news came on this morning.
The whole, not the eye, but the whole, whatever you want to call it, went through our area where we're at.
Oh, okay.
26, 27, Judy confirmed. Thank you, Judy, for telling us what to do.
And then Judy, we could have your special meeting like at 8 o'clock on the 26th, before the budget hearing starts. Okay.
You'll have the budget.
Yes.
So where do we come up with?
26, 27, 26 at 8 o'clock for a special meeting,
And then
9 o'clock for the budget workshop, and then on Thursday, 9 o'clock. I was shooting for 7 o'clock.
I'm not a morning person.
Why not just start the
I'm
night
not even
before and
gonna
bring
be
a
here.
sleeping
Yeah,
bag?
exactly.
So is it 9 or 8?
1 minute, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay.
On the 26th,
Should I
it's a
turn on
special
the
meeting
timer?
at 8 and then 9.
Oh, this is in a regular meeting. I don't have to time anybody. Well, maybe. Oh, yeah. That's it.
Okay,
We on?
you're live.
All right, thank you. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. This is a special meeting of the Village of Ruidoso. I will call the meeting to order. If you wouldn't mind, stand with me for a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the United States as a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. I like saluting the flag to the United States of America.
No, it is in a way.
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Salas,
Here?
Councilor Eby,
Here.
Councilor Letterman,
Here.
Councilor Hooker,
Here.
Councilor Coughlin,
Here.
and Councilor Jackson.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is a public hearing. Public hearing on transfer of location only of retailer liquor license number 4,000 for all subs, 1201 Meacham Drive, Ruidoso, New Mexico. Who's presenting this?
To start out, Mayor Pro Tem, I can make a report that on or about February 1st, the clerk's office received the application for transfer only. Let's see here. Let me get the transfer of location only, a retailer liquor license number 4000. BW Gas and Convenience Retail LLC, doing business as Allsup's Convenience Store, number 102373, located at 1201 Meacham Drive in Ruidoso. Our office published the notice of public hearing 2 times in the Albuquerque Journal and also 2 times in the Ruidoso News, and we posted it on the Village of Ruidoso website. As of date and time, no letters, phone calls, or emails have been received in the clerk's office for or against the transfer of application for the liquor license.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I open up the public hearing portion, do any of the councilors have any questions for the application, or
I've just got one.
go right ahead?
Where does Yes Way come in?
They own.
Yes, please. If you don't mind coming up here, John.
My name is John Underwood. So, for those of us, I don't think there's anybody here that, except for Darren. And that's just because he never had stopped me as a law enforcement official. So, So this is Didon Bates. He's with Allsups. He's from Tularosa and now lives in Clovis. And so he's a local guy, and so I brought him today to answer any questions.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Yes, I am from Tularosa, raised really around here my entire life. Yesway was, Mr. also passed away in 2017. And late into 2018, we were purchased by a corporate chain called Yesway. And our home office is in Fort Worth, Texas. They built me a private office that's, I don't know, about 10 or 12 of us in Clovis, so as a satellite office. I'm in charge of all of the alcohol for the entire chain.
And then, but BG Gas and Convenience Retail, that's just.
That's our parent company.
Got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
But we are Texas-owned, Texas
okay.
bred, and been around since 1956.
Right.
There you go. Any other questions for these gentlemen? I was asked the question from a couple of my constituents. Are you transferring any of the licenses in the establishments here in Ruidoso to this site?
No, sir, this is an external license.
And I just saw on the application that it's moving from Rio Rancho, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So that's coming in here, okay. Well, that's the only question I have. Stay seated there, please. I will open up this meeting to the public for any comments at this time. That's including those that are viewing on Zoom. Wow, it's quiet in here. Somebody drop a pin. Let's see if we could hear it. Okay, since there was no response to that, I will close the public hearing and I will entertain the council for a motion.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, move to approve the transfer of location only of retailer liquor license number 4 BW Gas and Convenience Retail LLC, doing business as Allsup's Convenience Store number 102373, located at 1201 Meacham, Ruidoso, New Mexico.
Second.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Is this for consumption, just package?
Yes,
No
ma'am,
consumption?
just package.
Okay, okay.
We have,
I've got one more question, just to clear up some stuff that I've heard in the community, which I know is not
Not
true.
Chinese.
I'm sorry?
We're not Chinese-owned.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the whole relationship to China, it's like, so no, you're not.
Whenever I heard that, I was like, that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard, but
I mean, there is a Yesway in China, but they're all in technology stuff that nothing to do with,
I have no knowledge of that one way or another, and they're not associated with
yeah,
us.
they're not, okay.
No intercontinental satellites or
No,
communications?
no weather balloons, anything like that.
Okay, that's,
So good, it's out there, cleared up that rumor, and you know they call it rumordoso here, so
Yes, sir.
there you go.
good question.
I didn't even have to ask it. They knew.
We had a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Jackson,
yay.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
and Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion passed. Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
you.
Appreciate your time. Nice
Good to
meeting
see
you.
you.
Yeah, nice to meet
Good
you.
to see you again.
Thank you, guys.
Moving on to item number 2, discussion and possible action on Ruidoso Police Department policy pertaining to standards of conduct.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Before you, you have the standards of conduct. This is one of the other policies that we're revamping, and we made some changes to this to get it into effect as part of our accreditation process. This policy covers just about every aspect in our standards and procedures, and then we do have other policies that mirror and are in more detail to the policies you see there.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir.
Chief,
Counselor.
I think you've said this before, but tell us again what this is all for.
The accreditation process. So the accreditation process is established through the New Mexico Municipal League and recognized by the New Mexico Associations of Chiefs of Police. Once we are an accredited department, we will receive stipends from the New Mexico Self-Insurers Fund. And so that's the end result. It has basically a mirrored policy through the state that the state recognizes. So it'll go into depth of things like use of force, safe pursuit. All of our high-risk policies will be covered in this, and they are policies that the New Mexico Municipal League recognizes and supports.
And in follow-on to that question, because I think there's been a shift in who's operating that through the state. Where is the PD in the stages of, have they come in and done a preliminary?
So the first, so the New Mexico Accreditation Manager, his name is Vicente Alvarado. He's out of Albuquerque. And the first portion of the accreditation process is to get set up through Power DMS. And it's, what it is a software that will, we can put our policies into, and then it'll show our standards through accreditation. As I was talking about standards and proofs in previous meetings, that means that if we have a handcuffing policy, we have to show that we are following that policy through a report or through some type of memo. But this software will actually help us. We just last week got it, and we uploaded the policies that we got approved 2 weeks ago into the system. So we are current users of the Power DMS, and we are one of 3 state agencies going through the accreditation process currently.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Any other questions or statements to the chief? I did, as I reviewed this last night and skimming through it this morning, I did find something that I already had talked to the chief about, but in, I believe it's on page 9, yes, under political activity, letter O, item number 4, officers may be authorized by the chief of the police to provide information on department or village-sponsored bonds or other ballot issues. And I didn't know what the other issues were. I felt that it should have just stopped after sponsored bond with a period and strike out that other ballot issues. Because I don't need them campaigning for Hooker against me when the next election, and he'll beat me by a landslide. And
Well, I don't know, he doesn't have that threat that he can arrest him anymore, so.
that's true.
Now
I
that he's
forgot
on
about
council,
that.
I think that's kind of went away.
No, but on that, I mean, what other issues would be there other than the bond issues? Of course, you know, the candidates, all employees have their right for an opinion, or their voice, but that will be off-duty hours. So I don't know how y'all feel about that.
So where specifically was that?
That was on page 9
Yeah.
under political activity,
Yeah.
letter O.
Section 4.
Number 4.
Action 4, yeah.
So I would be okay with putting a period after bond and scratching everything after that, or the other ballot issues.
So then, in doing so, could that potentially change it to where when the auditors came in and said, oh, you took this out, so now we're not gonna, I mean, do we potentially go against what they say, or?
No, I mean, we wouldn't, I don't think that would be a standard that we'd have to prove. But, I mean, we just leave it that way and be done with it.
Well, then if it can be struck, then strike
I
it.
mean, that's just what popped out on me last night and just
Mr.
started
Mayor Pro
thinking.
Tem, Chief, it seems very vague to begin with, so I'm not sure, other than clarifying it only to one item, that you've actually excluded it from all others, because other ballot issues is very, very vague in my mind.
Well, I can see it being village-sponsored bond or other ballot issues, meaning other village-sponsored ballot issues, which could be,
Maybe a grant or something? Because I've been thinking about it since then, and I can't think of another
Yeah, I'm trying to-
situation that it would fit into.
And that's what got me thinking, what other issues would we put on the ballot other than a bond, mill levy? I mean,
Constitutional amendment, something of that nature.
Right, but what would, that the voters would have to know about? Because the one, as long as I've been on here, we've had all the employees give out information for the bond issues on the water issues. You know, water lines and everything there. Way back in the day, in the last century, they had those 7 ballot issues for building the new library, senior center. Of course, there was sewer, water projects, the White Mountain complex and stuff like that. And all the employees were doing, especially officers and police staff, handing out the brochures that was made to just distribute the information out.
And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, also the hospital mill levy would fall under that category.
Yes, that's true.
Right, but could there be potential ballot issues that are like referendums where we're asking for people's opinions on something?
I'm sure there could be.
So that could potentially, like, let's say the golf course, if we were to put that out as a referendum and ask for, you know, do you think it should be left as a golf course or made into a giant swimming pool or whatever it happens to be? Those would be village-sponsored ballot issues, as long as it's
Right.
limited to those ballot issues, and they're only providing information, not opinion.
Right.
Then that's been approved by the village. I don't see it being a problem. I just don't want to, just in case something pops up in the future, that we're then limited to be able to give out the information about it.
All I know is when the airport was converted to the golf course, the old airport, it was just a committee formed, and then the council there just elected
Right.
it, okay, let's move forward with the golf course.
Right.
Where some of those other issues, I know that there was the issue of having space that west side
Yeah.
or north side for expansion of the schools and stuff, but the, you know, to try to centralize everything over there.
Yeah.
But then that's where they said, no, let's stick with
Well, I know
there,
at
so.
one time we were talking about GRT, we're with the business retention tax, and there was some
Right.
talk about potentially carrying that forward, but we said, let's put it out to the voters. Well, It's
Right.
not a bond issue. Well, I guess it is.
It
a
is,
bond,
I
yeah.
mean, so we could
Well,
designate
GRT
that tax for a
GRT is-
bond that we're gonna
GRT
do,
is not a bond,
build
but GRT is not a bond. GRT is a tax.
a tax.
But those taxes would be used to get a bond, but the direct question would be, do we increase our gross revenues tax?
Right.
Which is not a bond issue in itself. So there could be those types of situations that come up in the future.
That could be.
Yeah. So
Mayor-
like I said, I just don't want to limit ourselves.
Mayor Pro Tem, we have our attorney, Zach Cook, online. If he wants to be able to provide any guidance on this question?
I didn't see him up there, but
Yeah, he's there.
Was up there, yep.
what do you say, Zach?
Hey, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I apologize, but could somebody read the text that we're questioning right now?
What it says here in the political activity in section O, number 4, officers may be authorized by the chief of the police to provide information on department or village-sponsored bonds or other ballot issues. And my request is to strike out or other ballot issues, because I couldn't think of what other issue would be on there except for bonds.
Yeah. So I suppose it's just a policy question about what you guys want to do. Do you want to authorize the chief to tell the officers that they can inform the public about these issues, or do you not want to? There are potential, First Amendment issues about compelled speech. Can you force these people to go, speak related to bond issues? But employees, their First Amendment rights are limited. And I know you haven't touched on that in your conversation, but employees' First Amendment is they don't have as many protections in public employment as regular people do. So I think it's fine. It's just, what do you want to do? Do you want them to be able to do that, or do you not want them to be able to do?
Well, of course, to be able to distribute the information, but I guess the question is, what other bond issues will we have on the ballot? Or, I'm sorry, what other ballot issues will be on there? So,
Well,
but I
sometimes-
mean, Counselor Coughlin, he brought up a good point. What if we have a referendum that we need to take to the voters to lower gross receipt tax or something like that? And that wouldn't be bond related, so I could see his point on that.
Yeah. There's sometimes that, local governments have to have special elections or put election questions on related to liquor licenses. Just off the top of my head, I can't think of other issues, but, there are other things out there that local governments have the authority to place questions on the ballot.
Right.
And so if you strike that, then, it's
Yeah,
not written
that
down.
would
that the
eliminate.
chief
Well, I'm okay with leaving it. You brought up a good point, and Susan was saying, yeah, just leave it. So we could just leave it.
There's still the chain of command between the mayor and the chief, and what the chief instructs the officers to do.
Right. Okay, well, that answered me. I'll entertain the motion.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, move to approve Ruidoso Police Department policy pertaining to standards of conduct as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
And Counselor Coughlin?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Chief. Item number 3, discussion and possible action on proposed Village of Ruidoso compensation plan.
Good
Ms.
afternoon.
Cheryl.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So what you have before you is a proposed compensation plan. My department's been working on for about approximately 8 weeks. We did a thorough analysis of City of Alamogordo and the school pay plans, and where their positions fell in their particular pay bands and classifications, and compared those to our current wages. The first document you have before you is the actual proposed pay plan as it classifies each of the positions. On top, you'll see the temporary part-time.
Oh, this one?
Yes. It should be your first tab. Move on. On the first document, we did incorporate the temporary part-time positions. As we know, those are going to be more difficult to recruit for as well, and proposing a starting rate at the T1 positions at $16 an hour, and lifeguard $16.50, and so on the temporary compensation plan. Starting with the general employees, at the pay band 50, which is our entry-level positions, that includes our custodians, park maintenance workers, so on and so forth. We are proposing to bring our $12.88 starting pay currently to a $16 an hour starting pay at the minimum. And each pay band, each minimum and each pay band, you'll see that there is an 8% difference in those minimums, going down to a pay band 70. From a pay band 75, which is where our supervisors start, to a 95. The difference in those minimums comes in at 10%. So we did stay consistent throughout the pay plan, just with the supervisory positions, bumped that just a couple percentage points higher for recruitment purposes. Yeah, on the steps tab. Yes, ma'am, thank you. On this document here, this is just another breakout of the pay bands 50 through 95 on top with all the starting rates and the steps all the way out 30 years. Each year, our proposal would be that the employee, currently they receive a 1% service credit increase every year at their anniversary. And then we would be proposing a 1% pay for performance in addition to that. So each step has a 2% spread in between each of those steps. And then on the big spreadsheet, the impact spreadsheet, this particular spreadsheet is going to show employees that would be impacted by this pay increase if approved, as well as all the vacant positions we have with the village right now. All the vacancies are in orange. And there are about 104 employees that would be impacted, some on a smaller level and some on a bigger level, depending on their pay band and where they fall. We're bringing everybody into the correct pay band at the correct proposed starting wage, and then taking into account their years of service to come up with those numbers. The total impact, if you'll look at the bottom right, that last column there is the total impact between now and the end of the fiscal year, June 30th, 2023. And the total impact to wages, assuming we fill the vacant positions and including para and FICA, would be $175,577.96.
And that's just through June 30th.
Yes, ma'am. That would be just through June 30th. And then as you see on the far right, we've broken those amounts up by fund. So you can see the funds that are impacted, more so and at what amount. Taking into account the annual salary, so starting July 1, we're looking at an impact of $2.1 million, $2,142,000. That number is without para and FICA, and then once we add in the para and FICA, that impact is going to bring it to $7,544,000.
So it's going to be an increase next year of $2 million?
Going to be
No,
an
that's
increase of 7.5 when you include para and FICA into that amount.
7.5 million is an increase, not the
Over.
total.
Correct,
Over what we already have budgeted.
correct.
Then I'm confused in how we're at 175,000 for 3 months for the end of the year, and how that
Counselor-
comes out to $7.5 million for next year.
That amount is going to take into account the next, let me think. I believe it was 6 pay periods that was factored in there,
Okay?
at the new rate, at the proposed rate, including the para and FICA amounts.
Mayor Pro Tem, but I think Cheryl, that 7.5 million was also including vacant FTEs as well. That isn't reflected in your first budget line item, is it, for the 2 million?
That is correct, Counselor,
There
that
is
is
a big
correct.
delta there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
175 is just currently filled positions?
That is correct.
Okay, got
Yes.
it.
Thank
Okay.
you, Counselor.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going, wait a minute, you divide that by 3 and multiply it out, that's not working.
I'm going to miss him. Makes me think a lot.
You should see me dealing with budgets.
If approved, we would recommend that it take effect this next pay period, April 9th, to allow time for adjustments to personnel action notices for these employees. We would immediately, however, change our advertising postings everywhere that we have those advertised and really hit recruiting hard as we can. We feel that that number is going to really help us be aligned with competition, as we've struggled with a lot of our lower entry positions for quite some time.
I think it definitely will help. I mean, we increased our wages at work, and as soon as we went to $15 an hour, we're getting applications. We never did at 13, so it makes a big difference.
Are there any other questions for Cheryl, for Rennie, Joe? Any questions? Susan?
No.
Gary? No, sir. I move that we approve the recommendations of, approve the proposed Village of Ruidoso comprehensive plan.
Second.
Compensation.
Second.
Before we take a vote, I guess my question would be for Judy, where's that money going to come from? Crank up the presses? Yeah, I saw him moving a printing press into one of the buildings, so.
Mayor Pro Tem, councilors, so it's kind of a three-part fraction, I guess you could say. Number one, you're increasing the salaries, but you're also decreasing the performance, pay for performance. So some people were getting 4%, so now you're going from 4 to 1 across the board. So that will be some savings. The second part is it will just come off the top of the revenues that are projected. You'll just have to pay it. You can't afford not to pay it because you're not getting anybody right now, and you're putting the workforce, they're tired, and they're getting tired of working overtime all the time. So I think you have to do it. The other one is that any of these departments that are associated with rates that are charged, the directors will have to go back and they'll have to reassess the rates in order to compensate and to help set off some of that increase. So things like utility rates, it'll be factored in, trash rates. Some of the harder ones are gonna be some of the streets and Parks and Rec, because right
General
now.
fund, basically, right?
Yeah, so those are all quality of life departments, but at some point you probably will have to increase some of the user fees, maybe not as much to absorb the whole hit to the budget, but you will have to probably take into consideration increasing some of the rates. Thank goodness that over the years, our GRT has been pretty, I guess we've been growing. Year before last, I think we grew 15%, and we're on schedule to meet that or exceed it this year. But I just think it'll be absorbed through those different places. Hopefully, as you get more people in, your departments will become more efficient and effective, and therefore decrease some of the other operational costs that we're seeing, like having to hire contractors in to come and help us because we just can't keep up with the overtime and everything else that's going on.
So have we looked at it to come up with a percentage increase overall of what payroll is going to go up?
I just did it randomly, and so when I took into consideration the new rates on these people and took out the pay for performance, I think overall the difference between what I had projected and what I'm gonna project was like 2 million overall.
But percentage is what I'm asking. And the reason I'm asking that, because I know we're doing rate studies right now on our enterprise funds, and those new increased costs are gonna have to go into those studies to project out. So it's kind of what we can anticipate. Is that gonna be a 6% increase or an 8% increase?
To the utility rate?
To the payroll, which is gonna affect
The
that.
utility rate's gonna be high, the
Yeah.
increase that he comes back with, because I don't know if you've seen the amount of capital outlay that we're gonna have to put out within the next 10 to 15 years is substantial. On sewer alone, it's 36 million.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, the utility rate is gonna be crazy when it comes in.
Right, and
But
the
that's just,
capital infrastructure is gonna be a cost, but then now we're gonna have an increased cost also.
so
with-
I've already given these to him, and he's already figuring it in, so it'll be substantial on the utility rate. I don't know how much it's gonna be, but it's gonna be pretty hefty. Plus, we just got the hospital rate on what the insurance rate is, and this isn't figured into the budget, but right now, They told us right now it's at 14% increase on insurance. Oh, 16. 16.5, it's probably come in about 14.
In Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Coughlin, we will be having a rate analysis and master plan workshop with the consultants about the third week of April, and we'll be addressing this on the rates also, on the new salary schedule and the hourly rate increase.
Yeah, and you know, Judy, you're right. It's one of those, we have to do it. We really do, because people are just, the inefficiencies are huge, and people are just getting burned out. And which creates a safety issue for those guys that are out there dealing with heavy equipment and firefighters and police and everybody else. But then there's a cost to it. And unfortunately, it's a cost that we're going to have to incur. And I'm just kind of trying to get a feel so that as this word gets out to the public, they can start planning on what's going to be happening in the future. The infrastructure, I mean, everything's just, it's a lot. But if you don't increase your wages, you're not going to get your employees.
No.
And it's benefits are, so we're going to be saving some in benefits costs because of the changes that we made to the personnel policy. But it's hard to nail it down to how many dollars that's really going to be saving. And I've had this discussion in other places as well. The workforce, for the most part, it seems like once we get to 50, maybe 45, 48 in age, then we start going, oh, benefits. I need a job that has benefits. And I've got somebody at work right now who's going to be leaving because of benefits, needs better benefits. But the younger workforce, they don't care about benefits. They want the money, because they have to pay their rent and have to pay their insurance and their utilities and all that other stuff. So it's one of those tough decisions that we have to do. But, you know, I was just trying to figure it out in my head to have some kind of an idea of what things are going to be looking at.
As I work more closely with the budget, now that I have the final numbers and it's okay to look at it, as soon as I get an amount, I'll let you, I'll give you a heads up.
But you feel confident this isn't going to bankrupt us? Yeah, okay, yeah. Because I know there's other entities that have been just like, fine, pay, we'll figure it out later. And it's
And
like, no.
it's gonna take a while to hire, how many? 100 and, or how many? 30. 30. It's gonna take a while to hire 30 people anyway, so hopefully we'll stagger them out during the.
Cheryl's going to be busy next week.
So, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I would almost look at that 7.5 million as an accrual account to be borrowed against as you make these hires. It's not going to happen on day one of our new fiscal year.
However, we'll budget that way.
Right. But
And,
I hope that we do fill them.
I know, I hope so too.
Just like on a rule of thumb, usually on the general fund itself, each year, we usually have personnel savings between 500 and 750,000 a year, just on personnel savings, just because of the fact we can't hire everybody.
Right.
So some of that cost, that overall amount, you got to remember, is divided not only between the general fund, but all the enterprise fund, the water fund, wastewater, solid waste. The one that gets absorbed through the general fund is the street department. So, but right now, the way the GRT's coming in on the general fund, we'll have a healthy balance at the end. And hopefully, when we're going through budgets, we'll have a lot of savings just because we've gotten some key positions that have been filled, and hopefully it won't be too bad.
Cheryl, do you know approximately what our vacancy rate is on positions? Is it 15% of total positions remain vacant?
Well, right now, we have about 210 employees, and you fit 30%. I can't do that in my head, but I need my calculator, but that's what,
30 vacancies?
30 vacancies, whatever that
Out of
percentage.
210?
10, say 210.
Yeah.
13.
You were close. You were close.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Salas,
Yes.
Counselor Hooker,
Yes.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
And Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
working
Thank
on
you,
that,
Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Yes,
Thank you for the hard work.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, councilors.
you're welcome. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on recommendation from Airport Advisory Board to remove fuel sales markup on 100 LL fuel.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, councilors. So at the last meeting, we were asked to bring some more information forward to this special meeting. So I've got information that has been handed out to everybody. So we're looking at, I know it was asked, let me get my papers here figured out here. We're asked to provide, I know by the credit card fees, so this sheet here has what our percentages are that we're paying per the type of credit card. Should be on there somewhere, hopefully.
We didn't get it with this.
Okay, I'll click it over here then.
Here now.
It's right.
Oh, it's on the,
Here, yeah.
Credit card fee percentages.
Do you guys take much of the multi-service or air card?
Actually, there is a form that there's another paper that you should have, this one here, that has which cards we get out at the airport. This was provided by AvFuel, and how much the merchant fees are actually also as well, how much we're paying per month for Hunter Low Lead and jet fuel. And then the second column on it has the American Express, Air, AvCard, AvFuel, Retail Cash, Discover, MasterCard, and Visa listed out as well. So do I have any questions on those two forms?
I'm not familiar with those multi-service and air card and such, but the other rates, those are good rates, 1.95%.
Yes, sir, and those are just special air cards. I'm not too familiar with them either. I just know that some pilots come in, that's what they use. One of the air cards is actually a military one. I can't remember if it's that actual air card, if it's the UV Air. The military carries one of those styles of cards that they bring in as well. So are there any questions on those two items at this time? So the next thing that I was asked was to provide the amount of gallons per month in fuel that we sell. So it is on this form here. Shows you how much fuel we've sold from July to current in the way of Hunter Low Lead and jet fuel. And then I also included the previous fiscal years, how many gallons of jet fuel and Hunter Low Lead we sold. And I think part of that question was how much do we, on our purchasing, how much we buy on a monthly basis. So based on a load of fuel for jet fuel or even Hunter Low Lead is either 7,500 gallons or an 8,000 gallon truck. So for Hunter Low Lead, we might see 3 or 4 months before we need a load of fuel. For jet fuel, we could buy 2 to 3 loads a month and some of these months we get 22,000 gallons sold. So we can see a couple loads a month on jet fuel, just depends on the amount of planes we have coming in. See here.
How much fuel does come on a load?
8,000 is the max, 7,500 to 8,000. It depends on the temperature, just because of the expansion and of the gases in the fuel. So usually we'll see anywhere from 72 to 7,700 gallons.
Okay.
And we also included from AvFuel a list of markups around New Mexico, one in New Mexico and the rest are in Texas. These are airports that are ran by municipalities, so these are the markups that those municipalities are charging for their jet fuel, and avgas is 100 low lead. So there's a variety of differences from McKinney, Texas, on their full service for 100 low lead, they charge $3 markup on theirs, all the way down to, I believe for Brownwood, Texas, is at $1 for their full service on the Hunter Low Lead as well. And right now, like I said, we are at $1.50 a gallon markup. And the staff is going to recommend that we look at possibly getting approval to drop down to a 50-cent markup versus $1.50 is what we're going to suggest we drop to in there. This form here has the information on that. It shows just what we would have done if we would have had the current markup is $1.50. If we do the proposed, it gives the profits that we would be seeing. So if you look at 2021, 2022, at the $1.50, we did a $63,282 profit. If we were at 50 cents on the markup, we'd have made $20,883. So there's a substantial loss, but to go in with what the Airport Advisory Board is requesting, we felt it appropriate to ask for a reduction to 50 cents a gallon as a markup versus taking away the markup away completely. So this will give everybody $1 a gallon savings. So right now, at Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, this page here, this form here has some of the prices around the area. Right now, we're actually on Hunter Low Lead at $6.55 a gallon. So if we take that $1 markup off, it'll drop it to $5.55 a gallon. If we do that, so that would be $1 off the purchase there. And then the jet fuel, we're planning on leaving that alone and suggesting that we just leave that markup at the $2.25 a gallon at this point in time. That's what the board had suggested as well, so that's what we're suggesting, that we leave that markup alone. And if you look at Ruidoso, Sierra Blanca Regional Airport, it said $6.91. Actually, we lowered the price to $5.80 a gallon yesterday because we got a new load of fuel shipped in at a lower cost. So we're actually down to $5.80 a gallon on the jet fuel.
It's good. Mayor Pro Tem, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Chief, so looking at these prices here, I guess I would sit here and say that's not what I inferred the other day. Looking at this, it's not like we're charging $10 and everybody else is $5.
I
Correct.
agree.
We're not,
this is
we're in the
not-
ballpark. We're kind of in the middle of everything.
So
Well, I would disagree. I'd say we're near the bottom.
Okay.
Because looking at this, you've got one at $5.30, you've got another one at $5.65. Well, that's self-service. Full service is $5.90, another at
Yes, sir.
$5.60. Those are there's only three that are under $6.
Yes, sir.
Everybody else is $6.50 up to $7.12.
So we are really competitive, I feel, in the fuel. And it just depends on when we get our loads, like we explained the last time, when we get our load of fuel, what the price is, and versus some of the other airports, when they get their load of fuel as well, and know what their price is, and how long they keep that fuel before they can sell enough to get another load.
So the proposal is leave Jet A alone,
Yes, sir.
only affect 100 low lead.
Yes, sir.
So using those numbers that you gave us for the gallons per month this year, you're on par to sell about 1,000 gallons, 900 gallons more than you did in the last fiscal year.
Yes, sir.
So the purchase hasn't decreased.
No, sir.
People are still paying it,
Yes, sir.
because that's not, again, what we heard last time, is people aren't buying here, they're going somewhere else to buy. But we're flat, we'll call it, at 26,000
Yes, sir.
gallons. So I think that the information we were provided last time is not necessarily 100% accurate.
And that was at the Airport Advisory Board, that's what they felt they were seeing.
Yeah.
And they had people questioning them and asking them about the prices and saying that they're not gonna come in and pay prices of fuel here. I mean, some people do, some people don't. It's just we're a destination community. We're not a fly-through to get fuel. It's hard for somebody to fly from Roswell. If they're going across through here, it's hard to go straight across because of White Sands Missile Range.
Right.
They have to fly around, so a lot of those planes that are needing fuel may fly up to Albuquerque or down through El Paso to get around the missile range and the military bases, so they're not really gonna fly through Ruidoso, because they can't do a straight shot across the mountains.
Yeah, because do you know about, and I know it's not like cars, but about how many miles per gallon you get in an airplane?
Oh, I have no idea. It probably depends on the
Probably each
size of
airplane, too.
size of the engines, different engines,
Yeah.
two engines, some have two engines,
Because
some
to
have.
save money, you'd have to go to Socorro. And is it worth flying to Socorro just to fill up your tank? Because then the other ones is you go to Los Lunas or Belen, and unless you're heading north,
Yes, sir.
there's not an advantage there.
So you wait and fill up your car in Alamo?
Yeah.
Speedway.
Yeah, I don't think that, given these numbers, that there's justification to eliminate it completely. And I think the mayor said last time, you know, we could potentially decrease the markup for a period of time and see what it does.
Yes, sir.
And 6 months sounds reasonable to me. Right. But I would suggest, rather than go into a 50-cent proposed profit, just split it in half, go to 75.
That's my same thought too.
And then let's see, because we're not at the top, we're down. If you're gonna compare, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different airports listed here, and we're in the bottom 25%.
Yes, sir. And that's just, and on this air nav, that's within 100 miles of this airport.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, you're not gonna fly to Missouri to fill up your tank.
true, yeah. And I know if you go further north, some like Santa Fe and you get into Taos and stuff, some of those airports are a little more expensive
Sure.
as destination areas as well, so that is out there.
Any other questions?
Nope.
No?
Form of a motion.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll move to approve, reducing fuel sales markup on 100 low-lead fuel to 75 cents per gallon.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any other discussion?
Wait, did you say, okay, you said 75 cents per gallon
Correct.
Of our markup.
Right now, we're at a
of the
dollar.
markup,
Of the markup.
Yeah.
not 75?
No. Yeah, 75 cents a gallon, man. We'll miss a lot of fuel. No, to reduce the fuel sales markup down to 75 cents.
From $1.50 a gallon to 75 cents a gallon markup.
Everybody clear?
Was there a
And then,
second?
and then,
Yes.
okay, and
For 6 months.
there you go.
Or there you go.
6 months, and then come back and reevaluate.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to restate that motion?
I move to, well, here, let me actually, April, let's see, so May, June, July,
Not when you're gone.
August, September,
April.
October. Okay, so, reduce the fuel sales markup on 100 low-lead fuel to 75 cents per gallon until August 1st of 2023. October 1st of 2023.
To me, that still says that we're reducing it to 75 cents per gallon.
The
The
markup.
markup,
Okay.
The markup.
and I will second it again.
So question, so if no action is taken in 6 months, it automatically reverts back to 150?
Correct. Because the reduction's for a specified amount of time.
Mr. Pro Tem will call the question.
We have a call for the question, Madam Clerk. Roll call, please.
Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Counselor Hooker.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Salas.
Aye.
And Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. I
Thank you,
know that was a lot
councilors.
of work.
It was.
Yeah,
We
thank
got it
you.
taken care of, not a problem. Thank you all.
Item number 5 is closed session. If I could have a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, move that we move into closed session for discussion of limited personnel matters citing 1015-1H2 NMSA 1978. Further discussion subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the Village of Ruidoso is or may become a participant, citing 1015-1H7 NMSA 1978. And finally, discussion of the purchase, acquisition, and/or disposal of real property and/or water rights by the Village of Ruidoso, citing 1015-1H8 MSA 1978. Any action taken as a result of the closed session we brought back into open session, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Counselor Hooker.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Salas.
Aye.
And Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
His doesn't leave until April 8th.
April 8th.